Natural disasters are events with great economic consequence. These events may be unforeseeable and inevitable, but what if our government could take action beforehand to reduce the severity of the impact? Just think of vaccines. Prevention is often the cheapest, safest, and most effective solution to dangerous and expensive problems. The economics of disaster relief can affect us all. Our home, Saskatchewan, is not a place normally associated with natural disasters. Last year, however, Saskatchewan suffered from widespread flooding. The government spent approximately $1 billion in relief. Our aunt and uncle lived near a lake that was flooded, and insurance did not cover any of the damage. Their neighbor suffered severe damage to his home, and though the government offered a disaster relief fund, it proved to be insufficient. This really made us think. We live in Canada, a country that prides itself on providing social security to its citizens. How could the system have failed this individual? Not only was he ill-prepared, but also he could not get the help he needed to repair his home. This event inspired our two objectives. First, how can the government incentivize an individual to reduce vulnerability of property and life in the event of a disaster? Second, how can we improve social security to help those victimized by a natural disaster? Part of the reason why a system without insurance doesn't work is that people are notoriously bad at evaluating risk. We procrastinate, we smoke, we don't wear our seatbelts, we can know the consequences, yet they have no bearing on our behavior. A good example of this is what happened in Tennessee in 2010. Rural homeowners had an optional fire service for an annual fee of $75. Of course, some homeowners, fully informed, opted out. One of these homes caught fire, and the fire department refused to intervene. Right? Hardly. Fair? Totally. In an ideal world, a system without insurance would incentivize individual responsibility, but in the real world it does not consistently encourage prevention, and it does not help those when a large-scale, uncontrollable event actually occurs. Government relief comes to be relied on to pay for damages, and we find this to be unsatisfactory, as it does not discourage people from living in high-risk environments, and can offer no incentive towards prevention. What we propose instead is a public disaster insurance fund. Homeowners would pay a variable rate based on the property's value and evaluated disaster susceptibility. They would have to pay the real costs of living in a risk-susceptible area. Incentive for prevention would be included by reducing the fee for reducing risk. Last summer, basement flooding in Saskatoon was a huge problem across the city. For homes prone to flooding, homeowners could install a sump pump and a backwater valve, decreasing the flood damage and thus pay less for insurance. Homeowners pay in less and the government pays out less. A win-win situation. We feel that this system would solve both objectives. It would encourage people to take prevention into their own hands, and would help create a better social security. Stuff happens, but with foresight and conscience, perhaps we can be safe.